Hey guys, so you all remember Bob, right? Today we're gonna make him a lot more interactive and interesting, and I'm also gonna make him a girlfriend and give her a really nice personality. Yeah, personality. Welcome to Devlog 7 of my dream game, which is an open world action adventure game packed with parkour, combat, stealth, and dynamic environmental interactions. I've also been making videos documenting every step of the way, and in the last devlog, we left off at some minor changes I made to the game. So let's pick up right where we left off. So after making the game's camera a lot more dynamic, I decided to take a little break and play with my creation. I wanted to do some parkour, so I would load up the free roam map, but then I would also want to fight some NPCs, which means I had to unload the free roam map and load into the combat map, which kinda kills the flow of things, and it won't really be an open world game if there aren't any NPCs in the city. So I deleted the combat map and started planning out how to get NPCs spawning in the free roam map. So here's what I'm thinking, guys. First, we need a way to tell the NPCs where they can and can't go. Like, I don't want to have a random NPC just standing on the roof of a building, even though that would be kind of cool.
I'm vengeance.
Or have some NPCs just like spawn under the map or something. And there's a lot of ways to go about this, but here's what I did. First, I baked the nav mesh for the city, which is basically where the NPCs can move. But this alone isn't enough to restrict the NPCs, because places like the rooftops of buildings still have nav meshes generated on them. So no, I can't just spawn NPCs at random points on nav. So I did the next best thing. I added some waypoints around the sidewalks, which we talked about back in Devlog 4. And now we can finally spawn our NPCs in the city. But now we have a bit of a problem. You see, the whole reason why the combat takes place in a whole new map is because the NPCs can either be in their aggro state or in their default roaming state. They don't have the logic to transition between those two states yet. So that's basically the first thing we need to do. But I don't want to hardcode the transitions because that would make all the NPCs act the same and kind of robotic. Even if they are, but you're never gonna know that. So I made a whole new personality system, which sounds complex, but it's only about 200 lines of code. It basically has these 3 sliders, which determine how the NPCs behave. The aggression is pretty self-explanatory. The NPCs with higher aggression are really quick to start fights and engage in fights. The defense is sort of like self-preservation, kinda. The NPCs with higher defense values their life more than anything. It doesn't make them cowards though. They still get in fights, but they would back out and flee as soon as they realize they aren't gonna win. And then my favorite one is the I'm a boss slider, which is basically how much an NPC doesn't like to mind its business. NPCs with this trait love watching street fights or watching people that trip over and fall. I'll probably expand this to make some NPCs take out their phone and start recording fights or something like that. Ooh, and a quick side note, I mistakenly spawned in NPCs with maxed out aggression and the city pretty much turned into a battlefield, which was honestly kind of cool. Which gives me an idea for a cheat code like the fight in GTA Vice City, where everyone just starts beating each other up. And now that we've got a personality system, we can finally give Bob a girlfriend so he feels less alone with just clones of himself around the city. Okay, there we are, and now for some finishing touches, and as promised, a really nice personality. Now let's put him together in the world and see what happens. Aww, that's so cute. They went to sit together. It's almost like they're on their first date or something. I can tell Bob is kind of nervous.
Help me.
Wait a minute. I'm single. I can't let this slide. We don't do that around here, Bob. Look what you made me do. Bob? The threat detection component also comes with a faction system, which also determines how the NPCs react to the world. So I created a couple of factions for testing, and now let me explain to you how it all works. Factions can either have alliances or enemies. For example, Gang 1 is in alliance with Gang 1, but enemies with Gang 2. So factions that have alliances won't fight each other, but as soon as they see an enemy faction, they immediately start fighting. And they also step in to help if they see an ally getting attacked. I also made the female civilians allies to the male civilians, so if you go around beating up women, the aggressive male NPCs are gonna step in to protect them. I also made a police faction which are allies to all civilians, but I haven't really gone too deep on the wanted system yet, but that's for a future devlog, so subscribe if you don't want to miss it. With the threat detection component, I can now freely transition the NPCs to the aggro state and back to the default state, and it was perfect. I could freely parkour around the city and get in fights, and then I could get people to chase me around, and then I could lose there with my incredible parkour skills. But why stop here? I wanted to make the NPCs a little more interactive, so I made a new interact point script, which I can basically set up to be anything. But the only valid thing I could think of at the moment was sitting down, so I put all of them all over the benches of my game world. Oh, and I also made this one that does sit-ups. I wanted to take it out, but I liked it for some reason, so it stays for now. And now I'm slowly piecing together the building blocks for a really dynamic and interactive game world. But before I end the video, I'm gonna speedrun through some of the other minor changes I didn't really get to talk about. I made some new dodging animations, but don't worry guys, I still kept the weave dodge though, but it has two other variations now, which are triggered based on the incoming hit direction. I added 2 new takedowns because I was bored one night and I wanted to see how fast the workflow was like to add in new takedowns. Oh, and I also added a lot more bot attacks for the exact same reason. Like, I literally did that the same night. Vaulting into NPCs now causes you to stumble and sometimes even fall if you're unlucky. I changed the vault attack animation also. Now he jumps over the object and kicks the target in the face. I also added in stomping for downed enemies, and keep in mind that almost every combat feature I add in for the player also applies to the NPCs because they share the same combat system. And I'm probably missing out some stuff, but that's gonna do it for this devlog guys. There's a lot more work to be done on the game, so I'll see you guys when I see you guys.